let's go back to that moment, right? You're excited, you're getting ready, all this hard work is about to pay off, you're about to go into the Olympics, and then you find out you're testing positive for COVID. What was that like?
So first off, I was riding the high from, qualifying for my first Olympics. This was my second time around doing Olympic trials, but in 2018, I was too young. I was like 17 years old back then, still getting into the flow of skating. But this time around, I was getting super serious about skating. I was competitive. We were a competitive team in the team pursuit. We just broken the world record before the Olympic trials. So I was super excited, and once I qualified, I mean, it was, I was walking on a dream, it felt like. But, it was still a realistic thing with the pandemic going on around us. We couldn't have anyone watch the Olympic trials. My parents, they're debating even coming to, Milwaukee where they were, and they ended up just staying home because they weren't even allowed in the rink to watch. So, um, yeah, so I was like, okay, I just need to avoid it as best I can. And then I got home after the trials, and we did some like tests just to see if everyone was healthy. And the first test, was negative, and I was like, okay, I'm fine. And then after that, I tested positive, and asymptomatically, I just had to deal with the COVID protocol by staying home, not being able to go down to the oval. I wasn't even allowed to skate in the meantime, which is, my sport. So it was pretty crazy. I had to do other means of training other than skating to, keep my body in shape and everything. Because, in my mind at that time, I was like, it's just going to turn over at any time now. Like it shouldn't last more than a week or two.
Right.
And so I kept testing positive and positive. We're spending all this money for PCR tests because we thought it was going to be negative the next time around, but 3 weeks straight, it was 45 tests later. Um, I had I was still positive, and the team was already leaving to the Olympics. They left, and I was, yeah, like you were saying, I was watching the opening ceremonies on my couch.
Yeah.
Like dreams are broken.
And so when that test is, you keep waiting and waiting, thinking, surely the next time this is going to pass and I'll be able to go. So as you're watching your teammates get ready, or actually not watching because you're literally probably in almost quarantine, especially when they're getting ready to go, what
Yeah.
is that like for you to know that all that is going on and you're missing out on it?
It was definitely devastating because, I was just stuck at home. Um, and I just had to basically take the matters in my own hands. I mean, my parents were there, obviously, they're helping me. They were calling up like some of the top doctors in the nation to see like what to do. And it was just tough because, it was so new to me, so new to everyone, and I didn't know what to do. I just had a test on a piece of paper saying I was positive, even though I felt like I was negative. I felt just as healthy as ever.
Yeah.
And, I just had to wait on the results to turn negative. And, I was watching on social media, like all my teammates, like having the whole experience of like getting a charter flight over to China and, doing the fitting with all the different apparel and stuff. And, they literally sent me the apparel, the Olympic apparel, in just big cardboard boxes. And they showed up just in my garage, essentially at home. And I just, dug through them and tried them on myself at home. And that's all I could do. That was my experience. It was so different to everyone else's. And it was wild. And it was definitely heartbreaking because I was definitely expecting just to be going with them for sure.
Yeah, and I think, it's such a different experience. Obviously, Olympians work all their lives, well before the cameras, well before anybody even knows their name, to get to this point. And it can be devastating when you don't qualify, you don't make the team,
Yeah.
and then you watch the team go. But when you've actually made the team, when you've actually done the work and gotten the approval and the selection to be a representative of the country, And at the same time, like you said, you're feeling great. You have this test that says you're not ready and cleared to go. But
Yeah.
what a different sensation. Did you almost feel like, in a way, like you were being robbed of that experience? I mean, if we're just being honest about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely felt like it was supposed to go the way that everyone else had it going for them. It was, you dream as a kid if when you want to become an Olympian, it's just such a cool thing. And you watch it on TV and you're like, oh, that's how everything's supposed to go. You're supposed to go over there, you're supposed to compete at the top level, but there's you never think about the factors around you, trying to stay healthy and trying to stay away from injury and everything. And I've been definitely doing that as an athlete because we have all the resources to do that. But you know, that little thing that just comes out of nowhere and takes the opportunity to travel and go over to the event that you're supposed to compete in is definitely a whole different thing because it's out of your control. You can't control if you get sick or not.
Right.
It can happen at the worst moments.
Yeah.
And it was just such an unknown at the time. And I just had to stay patient. And I felt like I was getting robbed, but in the back of my head, I was like, I should be there. So I'm gonna keep fighting for what I think is right.